One.
So thank you. And Yahli Admati, you're already out of mute, right? Yes. So when I asked Yahli, how should I introduce her? So she said she's a futures researcher and futures in plural. And she's also a techno-optimist and a long-life learner. So without further ado, Yahli, I would give the floor to you. Don't worry, Yossi.
I'm wondering now, I mean, where are you going out of this room?
In 2 minutes. So, Yahli, the floor is yours.
Thank you. First of all, it's really a great pleasure to be with you all. Thank you for the invitation. I also regret that we are not in person meeting each other. Well, it will take a while. Unfortunately, one of the predictions that it's going to take like two years at least until we really go to what we call the new normal, but it will take a while. But anyway, it's a great pleasure, and thank you for the invitation and for the talks we had, Osnat and Maya, and as well for this generous invitation to listen to Yossi. It was very inspiring for me, at least. Probably for you, I was watching your faces. Simply let's dive in, and what I'll do is I'll start, and after finishing each section, I will ask whether there are questions, and then we can talk a little bit, and then we'll proceed. Unfortunately, we have only like 75 minutes together, so hopefully I'll show you, I think more than anything, why I think this is the best time to live in. We are very lucky to be alive right now, and especially to be in the business world. So I'm jumping in, I'm sharing my screen. Hold on. Okay. Oh, okay, do you see everything is okay? You see? Ma? Okay. Maya, are you okay? Do you see me? Do you see the screen? Yeah,
it's all there. Both you and the presentation.
Okay, great. So I'm starting. Thank you so much. Thank you. I do appreciate that. Okay. So when we're talking about this decade, which is going to be, I think, extremely unique one in the history of the human race in general, we relate to it as the decade of the great opportunities. And one of my teacher, John Hagel, is saying that the numbers are extremely significant, meaning the 2 is usually, of course, the sharing represent the sharing, and of course 0 represent the infinity. So I think it's very interesting to start with this notion. And when we are talking about the business world, we must understand that there are major trends that right now have huge impact on the business world. And it doesn't matter if we're talking about the fact of the demographic is changing, that we are having, I think 2019 was the first year that we had more people over the age of 68 than at the age up to 5. Social, we see huge social changing, doesn't matter what big movement like Black Lives Matters, Me Too, and so forth. Working life, we are going to see 4th generation in the working places in the coming decade. Geopolitics, we're talking about the shift from the west to the east, and what are going to be the huge implication, especially if they're going to create, a straight line to what we call India and Africa and so forth. Technology, where we're going to plunge in a second. Economic, if just to give you an idea, we started this the last decade, meaning at 2010, the total GDP was $66 trillion, and we jumped in 30%, and we finished on 2019 at 88. No one really even understood that, and we are going to see double or third of this, and this is on GDP, which we already know is really calculating only a part, and definitely probably not the majority of the, I would say, the finance and the economic activities. Business, we are going to talk about it, of course, and what's happening with our clients, with our consumers, which is they're totally, they're also shifting because as a result of all the other major trends, but because they are also, I think, recalculating, reassessing their values, their aspirations, the lifestyle, and especially I think the coronavirus in many senses is creating for us, I would say, a safe, unfortunately, but a very unusual and safe environment to reconsider, to reevaluate our values, our desires, our life, and where we want to go from here. So there are some talks about the new culture that is being born at this time exactly, and we don't really see the hints of it even, but we're going to see it like in a decade. So this is just to give you a very quick overview that there are many things right now happening, and these megatrends are of course colliding and have, you know, each of them is as an once you see the collaboration or the impact, the joint impact of them, so you suddenly have total different pictures or possibilities. This is why we are talking about futures and not about the future anymore, okay? It's in plural and not in singular. I want to jump into the technology part because this is my world, this is where I'm coming from. I'm a part of the Singularity University community and a part of MIT community and so forth. So this decade, we have 15 disruptive technology, what we call enabling technology. It's enabling or it's disrupting. Market you are and what is your mindset. So what does it mean that we have suddenly 15 enabling or disruptive technologies that are coming to arriving to prime time? It means that it means three things. There are two interpretations. First of all, that it's becoming, I mean, the value, I think the price is low enough that we can really use it. It's much easier to deploy, and also we can rely on them. They're becoming reliable enough so we can really use them. And just to give you this, the idea of the impact, the economic impact, when we're talking about AI, only AI is going to contribute about $33 trillion to the GDP until 38. Remember, we are right now 88, so just one technology. And what is going to be, so each of them huge impact and beyond the finance, I think we should understand it's going to have an impact on every part of our life. AI, for example, is going to flow everywhere. This is going to be the new electricity. And what is very, very interesting regarding technology, you should know, is that when it's new, we call it by its name right now. But when it's getting so powerful, as if it's being, you know, embedded into the scene, and we don't even rely to technology anymore, okay? We don't talk about electricity right now. Right now, we are talking about the espresso machine, we're talking about the washing machine, we are not talking about electricity. And of course, there is going to be robotics, IoT, we're going to have a total new web. Quantum computers are going to be a part of, I believe, every company, and they're going to be huge assistant to solving the biggest problems on Earth. Big data, advanced materials, we are waiting to, I think, between 500 to 1,000 new materials. We are talking right now about the advanced material, which are meeting the 3D printing. And then we will have a new kind of materials and of printing, which is going to be a 4D printing. And the fourth dimension is going to be time. And we are going to have materials that can assemble and reassemble by themselves. So it's very different than what we think right now about material in general. Nanotechnology, which is going to be definitely a part of our body. Okay, we are all going to have nanorobots, which are going to do magnificent things for ourselves, other just, you know, assisting out with the quantified self, meaning learning what's happening inside our body and being really taking responsibility and being the CEO of our health, okay? And predicting beforehand any kind of disease that might progress or, you know, in the future. So once we know that if we catch any kind of disease at stage 0 or stage 1, we can stop it. So the nanotechnology is definitely going to be a part of our, I think, mutual experience, everyday experience within the coming decade. The gene editing, meaning changing I think the hereditary problems that we might, be given by our mother or our father, and then again, stopping it even before we are born. Extended reality, we're gonna move from a world that you have the physical world, you have, I would say, the augmented world, which we also, and the virtual one, and everything is going to come together, and we are going to switch, and we are going to take our computers and put them on our eyes with very advanced glasses. And we are going to move very, very quickly between those three dimensions or a reality. And the question is, what is really is going to be a totally different one. And the answers that we are going to give to this question are going to be very different. Energy, everything related to energy. Energy is a moral issue. Once you don't have energy, you can't do anything. If you have energy, you can take care of health, you can take care of education and so forth. And already last year, we got to a situation when, for example, in China, they're closing coal mines, new ones, because they think it's going to be much cheaper. From economical reasons, that before anything else, to create a new energy, to use different energy sources, meaning reusable energy instead of using the old way of getting energy. I think in Portugal, they got to, I think, around 32 cents for kilowatt, and it's simply dropping exponentially. So it's going to be free in the end, especially, I think, definitely as we use today Google search, at least we are not paying for that. Its energy is going to be, this is the first time in the human history that we are going to have abundant energy. And it's a very good, I think it's going to be the best situation, especially for the very poor countries, which are usually also the sunniest one. So just one sentence about autonomous transportation. They are coming, they are going to come so much quicker than we think, okay? And probably they're going to come in the sky even, okay? In the air before even we have them on the ground, and they're going to transform anything that we know, because we kill today 1.2 million people every year by our wonderful driving. And this is one side, and the other side is that fifth of the population in the, I would say, in the advanced societies can't participate in the workforce and so forth because they have disabilities that prevent them from driving. So I think this is very, very important. So looking at all of this, what I can assure you that by looking at e-technology, I can speak about it hours, but I think much more interesting is the issue of the conversion. And once you understand that when you take, for example, AI and 3D printing or 4D printing, and you take it to virtual reality or extended reality, you get something so different. So it's going to take that to a new world, which is going to be right now, look, it seems to us as unpredictable. It's going to be extremely surprising. It's going to be in many ways, it's going to enable us to do things that beyond our dreams, I can assure you. I don't know whether you're aware of it, but when Faraday, who was really the one who really created the first, was experimenting with electricity. And there is this beautiful story that he was presenting it to I think it was Queen Victoria, and she came over and she says, what are you going to do with electricity? What is it going to be good for? So the story, the urban tell is that he told her, well, listen, I don't know what you're going to do with it, but I can assure you that there is going to be a tax on it. So there you go. Okay, it's just to give you an idea. So we really can't imagine, but what we can really predict right now is that the amount of changes that are coming in this decade alone is going to resemble to the amount of changes that we had in the last 100 years. And when we are talking about the coming 100 years, we are talking about the amount of changes that we had in the last 22,000 years. So I can assure you that science fiction is going to become science fact. And I can assure you that the ones that are really worrying about that are the science fiction writers, because right now it's very hard for them to write a story that is going to be 20, 30 years from now. They're saying we need to go further into the future to use our imagination, because in some senses, we have the ability to predict what might happen or might not. So this is this is the scenario planning workshops and so forth. So just a quick overview of wonderful things that only happened in the last few months. Everybody who knows me know I'm extremely, extremely optimistic. And it's very easy for me because, I wake up in the morning, I brush my teeth, I go to my computer and I says, what are the wonderful things that happened only in the last few hours, okay? So just to give you an idea, understanding the structure of a protein is a 50 years old, I would say, problem that we couldn't solve. In the last month of, in December 2020, DeepMind came up with a basic solution for that. And this is nothing short of amazing that 3 weeks ago, you see it was the 22nd of July.
Yahli, it's hard to hear you in parallel to the music. So
yeah, okay.
You can repeat.
Sorry. Yeah. I closed the window, the music. So they came up with a full solution, and they're saying we are putting in an open source 350,000 newly predicted protein structure. It's an amazing, I think, news for anyone who is dealing with biology, with medicine, with agriculture. And more than that, look what they're saying. We are going to put 100 million more in the few months which are which are going to, like in the middle of 2022. But what is interesting that everything is going to be open source, meaning everybody can use it. And I think it's unheard of. When we are talking about collaboration, when we are talking about inspiring each other and giving each other the possibility to contribute and to grow and to flourish, I think it's beautiful. We are talking about computers. We are these days we're thinking about our laptop or perhaps our phones or whatever. But just to give you an idea that in the future it's going to be simply.
Love an app store for my brain.
So we're here in Dubai.
So what do we got here?
So these are different qualities that you might want to
expertise, foodie.
So here, away, right? You want to stay in touch with your loved ones. So you're going to say, let's filter for apps which help you stay remotely connected.
What it means that we are going to upload the apps, but directly to our mind. We talked about the new materials, so I'll just give you two examples. If I build today a house, I can put bacteria inside the blocks that I'm building, that I'm using for this building, and they are going to sleep until there is some liquid, and moist or whatever, and then they wake up and they reshape and rebuild and reconstruct the building and this, the certain area that they are located in. So and what we know about is, in any case, the issue of synergy is going to be crucial in any kind of domain. We're going to see physics, chemistry, and biology is totally going to be encompassed together to a new kind of science. And when we talk these days to scientists, they are saying that the physics laws that we have right now are better than the old ones we had, but they are not the real truth. They are a better version of understanding of the world, but they are saying in the coming decade, the basic physics laws are going to be rewritten. Unbelievable. We are going to go away. When we are saying home, and right now we are relating to Earth, there is going to be a huge change, and we are going to live on the moon and on Mars. I don't know whether you're aware of it, but Jeff Bezos, when he created Amazon, he told his best friends, I'm going to create a large company in order to take all the money and to go and investigate and do wonderful things in the space. And he is right now, I don't know where you were with, he left he left Amazon, and he puts all his finance, both personal, but also, you know, whatever he ever earned in Amazon. And now he's creating the infrastructure for 100 million people to live in different kind of colonies around the moon. So he's working on the moon. Elon Musk is shooting for Mars. And so let's see what's going to happen. But in any case, we are the last, I think, generation that when we are going to stay home, we are going only to relate to our, you know, our universe.
What are your thoughts on the impending humanoid
We are
robot
going to see
invasion?
robots everywhere. They are going to be totally embedded in anything we do. We're going to have, and they are going to be, again, we won't call them robots because we are going to have so many of them. So they are going to be the messengers, they're going to be you know, it might be, you know, the assistant, it might be the toy of my child, it might be the dog, you know, the artificial dog for my nephew, and so forth. So robots are going to come to life. And usually it's extremely frightening for all of us. But I think there is a different angle that we will learn to look at it totally differently, as well as we are relearning right now how to look about, for example, things like, you know, nuclear energy and so forth, which right now is going through a process of rehabilitation in a sense, I think on the perceptional level. And we understand that we should use it and not only with the usual with the renewable energy. So this is what the CEO of Google is saying, that artificial intelligence could have more profound implication for humanity than electricity or fire. And I agree with him. We created an enormous power. It's going to be powers, not power. And we are only, this is not a mature technology. We are only in the baby steps of what it can do and how, to what we can use it. So what it means that we are right now moving into the information world. Anything, we are converting anything into information, and including our body. We are going to start, you know, managing our body like technology as information technology, and once everything is going to be managed as information technology, all our perception of the world, what is right, what is wrong, what we are capable, what we are not capable. And this is going to give us, of course, the opportunity to have an enormous amount of data, which we are going to transform into insight and then to wisdom. And in this situation, when you don't have a problem with getting the data and then arranging it, I think what is going to be much more crucial is what are the questions that you are going to focus? And are you going to ask the right question? And are you going to define them in the right question, in the right way? So we call this, when we are talking about this from the economical point of view, we call it creative destruction, meaning that all of this will have to, the result of it is going to be the destruction of the existing, I would say, economic, business, I think, political, social way of living. And there is going to be a new thing, I think a total new platform, ways of thinking, ways of operation. And this is creative destruction. And this is going to meet us in any domain of our lives. No domain is going to escape it, including, for example, marriage. Because if we know that we are going to live to the age of 120, how can you create a marriage that is suitable for living together? If you're 25, when you're, walking down the aisle, are you looking at this person and you're saying, wow, I'm going to live with this person like 100 years? Wow. Well, so we are going to see, changes in social structure, social norms, what is going to be normal, what is going to be accepted, and so forth. So
Yahli, I got some questions from the audience. So just to maybe give the outline of the lecture. So Yahli is surveying, let's say, the 15 top technological trends and how would they transform the world around us. And as you've seen in the beginning, she started with the different walks of life where it would make an impact. It's social, it's geographical, it's economic, and so on. In the next parts, and again, we built this together, we would discuss on two other elements that are implied or are derivatives of those changes. And this is the new business models that we will need to to evolve. Some of them are already evolving. And the last part would be the new toolkit that is required for leaders in these exponential times of exponential changes. Okay, so this is the outline. Now it's towards the end of the, the overview about the different technological trends and how they're evolving. Okay, so these are the parts in terms of the context. So sorry, Yahli, you can proceed.
No. Would you like me to stop now, or would you like me to continue?
No, proceed. But just I wanted to give the framework and the next chapters.
I'm sorry. I thought we discussed it, so I'm sorry. I thought they got the information. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't know. So
I think we had. I got some text. We had actually the interview with Yossi was. For some people, I think it was really impactful in terms that it's not the usual kind of, interview that we are doing. So sometimes it takes a few minutes to do the context switching,
I'm so sorry. No, I would have said what is going to be, the structure. Yes. I thought because we talked about it, I thought they got the information. So it's okay. Okay. Is it interesting for you? Is there things that are not clear, or should I simply continue?
No, you can continue. And I think, the innovation elements and the toolkits, which we know that are coming, maybe are more connected to the day-to-day.
Yeah, but you have to understand the context. Otherwise, you don't know.
I agree.
Yeah. So anyway, everything is going to be changed. I think this is the main message. It doesn't matter when if you're thinking about things which in your private life, or if you're thinking about something that is relating to your business life or to other categories or domains that you're interested. It's the education of our children, is the way we're going to take care of our elderlies, is the way we're going to manage our money, the way we are going to use transportation even for business purposes, how we are going to manage our health, how are we going to construct new buildings. So it doesn't matter. So in this sense, I hope it's a positive note. We are all together in this exponential change. No one is going to escape it. So I think for me, it means that everybody are going to be advancing together. And I think the Corona, unfortunately, was a negative experience. What does it mean to go through, exponential change? I would like to have a more positive one. But I think this gave the idea of what does it mean that you have to renounce and to give up on your old perception, your old way of doing things in a second, because all of us had to do that. So I think it was a good experience for humankind. So just let's give you the idea about the amount of opportunities from the technological part, and I think its translation into economical value. Okay, look at it. These are the two. I won't go into the history, but this slide represents the history of all, I would say, the technological revolution that we had in the 200 and nearly 50 years. And look what is really waiting for us, which is good news. Because if there is so much opportunities, economical opportunities, meaning that we can, from one hand, contribute, but also we can enjoy it. So what is really happening, I think, and this is what we should, I'm proceeding now to the second part of the conversation or the discussion, is that in exponential change, there are exponential losers, but there are also exponential winners. And the question for each management is, what should you do in order to be a part of the exponential winners? Because no one wants to find neither himself, nor his team, nor his company, of course, on the losing side, because it's going to be extremely aggravating to be there. So when we are talking about a new situation, an exponential change, the first thing we should understand that we can't use the old toolkit. We simply can't. It's going to be irrelevant. It's not going to be effective, and it might even be dangerous to a company to hang on to the old tools. I think Mark Twain once said that, living by the laws of your fathers in an in time of change is like putting on the clothes that you had when you were 13 while you are already 50. So I think this is crucial to understand. We have to adapt to the change, and I think what your CEO said so beautifully. He says, "Embrace change." I think we don't have any other opportunity, to be honest with you. So this is in general what is a new toolkit. But right now, I want to go first of all into. I won't have the time to go through all of them, but I want to start first of all with mindset. And really, we have 7 mindsets that we can talk about, but I chose what I think is it's the hardest one and the most crucial one. And I'm talking right now of moving from linear thinking to exponential thinking. And I want to explain to us, what does it mean, linear thinking? Our brain was developed, 1,000 years ago in the savannah, when everything that could have an impact on our life was a day walk, okay? Meaning, and it was very local, meaning we grew up in a very linear and local situation. And usually yesterday was quite similar to today, so we could have anticipated that tomorrow is going to be very similar to today, okay? So this is how our work, our mind were, designed, and this is how we can think, and we are very good at linear thinking. So if I tell you right now that I want to go to the kitchen, and I tell you that the kitchen is 30 steps from where I'm sitting right now, which is of course my working, this is the study. So you're saying, well, she's a normal person, normal woman. Well, and I ask you, how far away is the kitchen? And probably you're going to say, well, one step is like around 1 meter, meaning if she has to go to the kitchen, it's going to be about 30 meters. The hidden assumption here is that each step is similar to the other one. This is linear thinking. So 30 steps, meaning 30 meters. But what if I tell you that I have to take 30 exponential steps, meaning 2, 4, meaning it's doubling, meaning 2, 4, 8, 16, and so forth. So it means that I have to run around the universe 26 times. I have to run around the globe 26 times. Definitely, I'm going to stay thirsty. What is happening right now at this decade is that we are used to linear thinking. Technology is moving in exponential pace. This is the stress. This is the source of stress. And this is the biggest opportunity. And what is happening usually when we are thinking about anything, usually we are thinking in linear ways. So just to give you, some very basic notions. Well, for example, when we talked about, for example, buying online before the corona, well, in the United States, the predictions were that we will get to 50%, in like 10 or 15 years. It happened in 2 months. Working from home, right? We said, well, the experts said, well, it's going to take a decade. We switched what? In a day to working at home. So, for example, in Google, when the engineers like to be very, very precise, when they are being called and they are giving, an unusual mission, and they start to calculate, how much the computing power is going to cost, and how much, the data transformation is going to take, and how much, whatever, the devices, the worker, the employees' salaries and so forth. You know what the Google management says? Stop. Assume that everything is going to cost zero, because they know that in 5 years, the prices are going to drop so rapidly. So this is going to be in a break-even situation, or whatever kind of project we're talking about. And in 10 years, it might be the most important source of income for the company. So whenever you are thinking about anything, about the opportunities and about the threats, about the technology and about your clients, I think if you can stop for a second and don't use your regular intuition, I would say advice, because they are based on linear thinking, and only ask yourself one question. Am I using linear thinking, or am I experimenting at least with exponential thinking? And once you use this, you are going to have a total different view of the world. And just a small example, another small example, for example, when we talked about TikTok, okay? No one ever believed that there is going to be any kind, I would say, a platform or an application that is going to be so important for the West and the East at the same time. And for decades, you know, Chinese didn't believe that they can penetrate into Europe or the United States because such a gap in the cultures. And the same worked vice versa, meaning the Americans and the Europeans didn't think that they can really be extremely successful in China because there is such a lack in understanding the culture. And this, you know, small, unusual might be, you know, you might perceive it as stupid or dangerous or whatever. One small application totally changed it's a game changer. And this is what we are saying, this was an exponential change. So anything we are looking at, I'm telling you, you know, I'm working with the IDF, with the, you know, the Israeli army, and I'm sitting with the people who are running it, and I keep telling them, please, 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 whenever you're thinking about it, simply ask yourself, are you using exponential thinking when you're exploring the possibilities or when you're thinking about the threat to Israel? And I think this is crucial for all of us. So this is the first thing I wanted to explain to you. So just to give you an idea, in 10 years, if you have this kind of mindset, meaning in 10 years, you're going to be 1,000 times better, in 20 years, you're going to be million, and in 30 years, you're going to be billion. So for example, when your CEO talked about doubling the company within 3 years, I think it's, in a sense, it's similar. It's the same, you know, it's the same mindset. And once you think this way, I think it's much easier to go through the, you know, the everyday hustle and to keep your eyes on the big prize. So I think this is a very important tool. So, and just to give you another example of how does it, you know, meets business people in decisions, everyday decisions. So there is a question, would you acquire a company that has no profit, okay, is dealing with multiple lawsuits, okay, and not related to your core business? If you're using linear thinking, you won't buy it, but it was bought. There's a company was bought for, you see the number, $1.65 billion, okay? And this was YouTube, okay? So just, if you really have, you're capable of making decisions which are against, you know, the common sense or the common belief. Another one, of course, is DeepMind, which was acquired, you know, when she had no profit, had no product, had no client, and still right now it's losing money. But this is the company which is going definitely change. This is one of the two companies which are going to change the face of the medicine and agriculture and beyond that. Okay, and this is a small, it started as a very small, I think, London-based company. It's a beautiful story. I don't have time to tell you about the story. So this is it. You make decisions which are against linear thinking because you can embrace exponential thinking. Okay, The other tool is having a total, I would say, fresh and new look at your core business, okay? And why is it so important? I think this is a very nice metaphor when, you know, this guy this distinguished person was, I think he was in charge of petrol, the petrol industry in, I think, Abu Dhabi, and he went to his superiors and he says, listen, and this was 2000, he says, listen, we have to prepare. We have to prepare when the times that people and nations wouldn't like to use our products. They wouldn't like to have oil anymore. And this is, you know, it was 21 years ago, and they said, what are you talking about? Look at our position in the market. Look at the high demand. Look at the prices they're taking. People are begging, you know, for our, you know, to create relationship with us and to enjoy our products and our capabilities and so forth. And he says, no, listen, the Stone Age didn't end because there were a lack of stones. Don't forget about it. So it's very important to look at this and to think that right now, and I can assure you right now, there are at least 20 startups which are as wise as your highest management, who are thinking how they can eat your lunch. I can assure you. And what can we put on the table? So they're looking on your core revenues, on your core business, and saying, what can we do? Okay. So this is crucial to look, first of all, at the core. So when we're talking about innovation in the core, I would suggest that you, first of all, look at three different places. First of all, when you have fixed expenses and every time, you know, they are increasing, well, you have to look at it and to look, first of all, look at it from a different angle, meaning using disruptive thinking techniques, like, you know, first principle thinking, reframing the problem and so forth. We don't have, just to give you an idea, bottlenecks. Wherever in your business you have bottlenecks, okay? It's a very, you know, and you always, when we have bottlenecks and we have timelines and we have clients and so forth, usually what we do, we throw more money, more energy, more people on there. No, it's not the solution. The solution is to look at things from a total different perspective, and then you will come out with solutions which are very different, and abnormalities that became a norm. And you have this in each category, you have it in each domain, you have it in each company. And what can I assure you, that if you take a newcomer or someone who is very wise but is not working in your industry or in your company, and you ask him to sit for 1 week or 1 month in your company and just to write down what he thinks is, you know, is not really, he doesn't really understand why things are being done this way. He's putting a question mark on your practices, on your everyday routine. You're going to see that there are wonderful things that you can do. And usually we said there is money on the floor. This is the expression, especially with abnormalities that became norm. So what you should do is, when we are talking about that, you need, first of all, to use disruptive thinking model. And you have to have set of solutions. Once you identify a totally different understanding of the problem, you redefine it, so forth, then you can have a solution based on disruptive technology. I'm going to give just one example because I want to proceed, but I was working with the military, the Israeli military, with a person who is in charge of taking care of all the machinery that we have in the army. He was entering, he was only starting his role, and he says, I started explaining to him about disruptive technology. I understood that I'm losing him, so I told him, listen, forget about this. Tell me one problem that because of it you're not sleeping at night, that, you know, simply, you know, ripping you off your sleep. Tell me what it is. Well, I have a problem, he says, with the tanks. I understand nothing about tanks. I said, what's the issue with the tanks? He said, well, you know, every year I have to bring all the tanks of Israel, you know, of the military, to one spot. I have to examine them. I have to take response, you know, to do any kind of usual routine service and so forth, and make sure that they, you know, we can still use it for a while. So I says, routine, you know, it's a very routine procedure, you know, routine checkup and so forth. I says, you know, And he says this is, of course, it's a hazard, it's extremely expensive. Of course, there is also security issues which are related to such movement, because we have to move all the time, all around the tanks and so forth. And the people, I says, listen, I understand nothing about tanks. I can assure you, I have no idea. Well, anyway, even though I'm an Israeli, I'm a pacifist in some senses. So I told him, listen, I know a lot about medical field. And what I can tell you about the medical field is that 70% of the people who come to hospitals not supposed to come there. They shouldn't be there. We can take care of them either in the home or either in the clinics near their home. So tell me about those tanks. What is your experience? What is the data telling us? He says it's quite similar, meaning 70% not supposed to be there. So it says, wonderful. So right now we are reframing the problem. The problem is not how we do it more efficiently, quicker, okay? And perhaps less expensive. No, the question is right now how we can identify only the 30% that we should bring and then take care of them. And how can we make sure that the 70% we can somehow have using IoT and so forth to quantify, their health in a sense, on the long term. So this is a very small example, but we did nothing. We simply said we are going to redefine the problem. So right now, the whole procedure is being changed. So another issue, of course, is using our ability to empathy. We all have huge ability, a deep ability for empathy. And once we put ourselves, but really put ourselves in the shoes of others, and we look at the world and at specific situation from their point of view, I can assure you, you are going to come with immense opportunities for creating value for your clients, or your customers, depend where you really want to work, but also for you. So this is just one slide, about, this is a part of a huge presentation talking about how all the startups are right now attacking the big finance organization in the world. And the only thing that they do is that they focus on the pain point. But they don't only interview the clients, okay? They are living with them. It's coming from anthropological, methods. You go and you live with your clients. Okay, you work for them. Don't interview your clients. Go and work as their assistant for a week. Go with them to all the meetings, and what you're going to see is hidden opportunity that you can't see if you're not living with your clients. I can assure you, I did it myself for a few of my clients, okay? Just to give you an example of how then it's going to be translated to using the solutions that are based on technological abilities, okay, the new disruptive technology. So, for example, look at what is happening with Bank of America. You have a small business, you want to have a local approval to a loan, it will take you 20 years, okay? And it will, can you do it automatically? Never, no. And usually, what is the minimum balance for wealth management? Look, $3 million, okay? So, and think what happened during the coronavirus when, suddenly the federal, ministry decided that I think they put 1.6 or $1.7 trillion, within a few months, and they wanted to assist the small business to survive somehow, okay? And they had no infrastructure. So who assists them? Only the small startups, which are right now, they were the one that created the solutions, okay? It wasn't the big companies and it wasn't the banks. The bank didn't have the ability to do that. So if you look at this from, this is a solution in the Western world. Now look what's happening right now in the East. Of course, financial, definitely in China. So it takes you 2 seconds and it's instant. And look at the amount of money that you have to have if you want to start any kind of wealth management. So you look at the problem, but from the eyes, and you put yourself in the shoes of your clients, and then I can assure you're going to come with wonderful idea. Okay. So, okay. Another one, of course, is identifying new emerging opportunities. So if we're talking about digital wallets, so you can see what's happening now in China. Well, look at what happened in 2019 when the total GDP was $14 trillion, but the amount exchanged, the amount of money that was exchanged, the finance, that was the finance activity through the digital wallet was nearly 3 times more than that, because the GDP only, you know, we only calculate a part of what's happening in only part of the activities, but this is what's happening right now. So you look at it and you ask yourself this, and this is crucial. If this is the situation, can I put and add another layer, which is economical services to my clients? And this is huge opportunity. And I think a year ago, there is a wonderful company called A16Z, which is Anderson Horowitz, which is one of the most important and prestigious investor, venture capital companies in the States. And Angela, which is one of the partners, she got on stage, and there were like 200 people in the audience, and she asked them, how many of you are working right now in finance? And I think it was 1/3 of the people or less than that. And then she says, listen, even if we meet in 4 or 5 years and you wouldn't change your domain, you won't even change the company, and you won't even change your role in the company, most of you are going to raise hands, because there is going to be a new layer to each company, and each company is going to give added value finance services. Look at it, understand it. Okay. When we talked about the fact that we are going to move right now to the Web3, which is going to be, of course, from blockchain, you know, we have all these layers. What does it mean for you? Where are the new opportunities for you? If we're talking about a total different interface with our consumers and clients, what are the hidden opportunities for your company? Because we are going to move from this platform to a new one. Are you prepared for that? Are you thinking about it? What are the services that, you know, behind the corner that you can right now, we should already start working on it when you're using Zoom out, Zoom in technology, you know, thinking, okay? Okay, I want to talk right now. I'm running, I'm working with the time right now. So I want to talk right now about another kind of tool, which we call uncommon collaboration. And this is a very, I would say that in a sense, it's usually against the common wisdom, the concept of uncommon partners. And usually it means that we are looking for collaboration with, sorry, there is a mistake here. Suddenly I see spelling mistake down there, sorry. But what we are talking about is looking for partnership, not from the first, second, or third tier, but from the fourth and for the fifth. And I want to explain, and I'm going to give you an example. One of the examples, and then I just want to explain some of the principles. When, for example, one of my teachers in Singularity, Kyle, he decided to ditch his PhD in psychology and to work in the business, and he became the innovation officer of law, and he was trying to create a total different experience for the people who want to buy paint or, you know, furniture, whatever, okay? And he was looking for solution, and he simply phoned people in Microsoft. Can you assist? Can you believe, you know, this is low tech and this is totally high tech, and it was already, I think, 10 years ago. And he says, can we use your tools in order to create a total different journey for the clients who arrive to our stores? And to his amazement and to his team amazement, Microsoft jumped on the opportunity, because what was very interesting is that things that seems like a liability to law, you know, having all these warehouses and taking care of all the rental for all the shops, and, you know, and the hustle of people coming in and the doors, and, you know, and repairs of the shops and so forth. But then and all these people coming in and coming out, and how do you track them and what they're doing and what they're not doing and so forth. For Microsoft, this was a huge opportunity because they didn't have face-to-face interaction with the clients, with the consumers. So suddenly what was happening is that one company brought something, an ability that the other company didn't have. And by using it, okay, each of them learned so much about the clients. And if we're talking about the organizations of tomorrow, the ones that are going to win in the business field, I can assure you, in this battle, are going to be the organizations that are going to be very, very fast learner. And you learn much more when you're looking for collaboration which are outside of your comfort zone. Not your competitors, not from the next one, but the second layer, perhaps even your suppliers, but go much beyond that. And another example that I want to give right now is, of course, what Tesla did. Tesla, when COVID hit, Elon Musk said, we need to do something to assist the poor countries. They understood, which unfortunately was totally correct, that there is going to be a problem with shipment of supplies and medical supplies, and of course vaccination and so forth. So this is, instead of relying on the West to send to either, it doesn't matter right now if it's if it's African countries or if it's India, let's create for them local hubs where they can manufacture everything very quickly and to adapt to the local situation, meaning whenever they need it, perhaps might be even with local materials and so forth. So they went out and they found this partner, okay, CureVac, and they transform Tesla in Germany. The factories in Germany, they transform it to a hub where you can create mini manufacturing entities and send them overseas. Now think about the information that Tesla is going to get from that. How much she's going to learn about what's happening in these countries. And once she goes back to doing her own, usual routine work, and building cars, and if they will make a decision, they're probably going to win these countries because they already know how to operate there. Just to give you an idea. Okay, so just give you another idea. Now, when we're talking about business models, there is a lot to say, but in general, what we are saying, we are moving from product to services to performance. What are you really going to do for me? And I want to show you a very, I think, quick, very, I would say, imaginative solution. So what happens if you're living in Spain, you run a theater, and you get up in the morning, and suddenly you see that the government had decided overnight, to change the VAT on your tickets, and it's simply, it's nearly it's moving from 8% to 21%. Who is going to come to your theater? So look what these people in the theater decided. What is creativity? Okay, look at this. What's happening? Sorry. Okay, let me just. I'm sorry. What's happening? Lior. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. למה אני לא מצליחה להראות את הסרט? Just a second, I'm sorry. אני לא מצליחה להראות את הסרט. אתה עוזר לי?
כן.
רק שנייה. Just a second, I'm sorry, there is a beautiful story. אתה מפעיל לי את הסרט? לא, לא, עמוד, כאן זה הסרט. הנה, okay, sorry, here we go. So look what they are doing. They are putting, screens, and the message is like this. You are going to pay according to the amount of laughs that you are going, that the amount of laugh that you're going to laugh during our show. And, you're going to charge only by the laughs. And also there is a, there is also, you know, a barrier, you know, to the amount of money that you can pay. So look what's happening. So you have a screen, and simply, you know, they're using this technology to find out how many times did you laugh. And then in the end of the show, you simply pay, you see? And look what's happening. Of course, everybody are getting interested. And of course, the play is becoming huge success, but also this is creativity. And I think this is a beautiful way to you know, emphasize the idea of performance. So this was just one issue. The other is, of course, moving from product and services to being a platform, and then moving to ecosystem, and then to operating system. And the idea is in this kind of analysis of framework is, what is your power in the market? So if you're selling content, usually your power is quite limited. When you're working, most of us are working in the product or services field. Well, we have a better situation, but not that much. But when you're moving into this part, being a platform, ecosystem, and operating system, well, you're totally in a different zone. And platform, of course, is, you know, when you have two sides of the market, and you have a demand, and you have a demand, and you have a supply, and you becoming, you know, the bridge, which is connecting between them and making sure that you're not competing. So I think this is, well, we have some issues with Amazon, but I won't go right now into the model of Amazon right now, but this is the idea. And usually when you're becoming a platform model, usually you create huge opportunity for yourself. And this is, for example, some of them, you know, you're going to enjoy what we call the network effect, meaning depends on how many people you have on each side, and how many they are using each other. So, you know, just look, let's just talk about, you know, even if we're talking about only about Uber, well, there are more people who are using the car, so it's more beneficial for the drivers to work with Uber. Once you have more drivers which are driving with Uber, of course, it's going to be much more beneficial for the consumers or the clients, because they don't have to wait so long and so forth. So this is just to give you an idea. So moving into platform is incredibly interesting opportunity. Can you do that? How can you do that? And then moving further into the ecosystem model. Well, the most interesting right now is, of course, WeChat. When we talked about the amount of digital payment which are being done in China, well, WeChat is the big winner of it. So, but I want to show you a different example, which I think people are not really aware of it, which is what we call Midtown. Midtown started, as you won't believe, as a service for food, meaning it was a delivery service. And just to give you the framework, well, if you want, usually the average price for delivery in the States is about $7, and in China it's 70 cents. So what happened? Midtown started working, and it totally changes the lifestyle of the Chinese, because it became so cheap to order, and they made sure that the prices of the restaurants are going to be as well reduced, because the amount the huge demand that they created and so forth. So and it was very interesting. So they started like this. So what happened is that if I'm a Chinese lady and I'm starting to use this company every day for the meal for my children and so forth, and I'm becoming very reliable and on this, and I'm very happy with the services, because the food is always coming on time. It's not spilled, and it's warm, and the quality is very good, and my children enjoy it, and I don't have to cook and so forth. Well, they changed my lifestyle. So this is very interesting. So I'm becoming, they created trust, like by using, everyday, very small, I think, services, but very crucial for me. So, this was accumulating the trust between me, the Chinese woman, and this company. One day, after 2 or 3 years, suddenly I get a message on this app. Listen, if you're thinking about traveling overseas, or if you're thinking about, taking a trip to Shanghai to meet your family, And if you're looking for a train or, you know, a flight, or you're looking for a good hotel, why won't you use our services? Within 3 years, they smashed the biggest company in China for that. Because what they did, they took this, the vehicle was the trust that was created, but, you know, by everyday small revenue service for them, because, you know, you earn very little. And they used it to go to a totally different market and disrupt. And the vehicle was the trust they created, something that you use very expensive, you know, I would say something that you don't do on a regular basis, but it's a huge, a huge amount of money that you're taking. But then, of course, totally the structure of the finance and the business model totally changed. So I think it's a very, very interesting case study, and it gives us the idea how to look at it. Hold on. Okay. Just the other one, of course, is becoming a platform. And I don't know whether you're aware of it. We don't have right now many companies that became technology platform, but we are definitely, at least my teachers believe that we are going to see between 20 to 30 these companies, and they're going to be much larger than Amazon and Facebook or Google, probably, or perhaps Google and so forth will be wise enough to move into it. But look what Elon Musk is saying. I'm willing to give as an open source all of Tesla operating system. Use it, take it. Because he knows that the company that are going to become the technological platform of the future are going to be the big winners, okay? So I'm just saying, think about that. Where can you be? How can you move from, you know, giving services product to being either a platform ecosystem or perhaps, of course, you know, a technology platform? The last thing I'm going to speak about, so we'll have some time for questions, is the usage of the sandbox. Listen, I sit with big companies, large companies, I mean, small companies and so forth, and I can assure you I'm sitting with wise people. But having a discussion with the wisest people on earth around a table has nothing to do with the actual experience of what is going to happen once our ideas, our thought, our concept meets reality. So I think it's crucial to create in each company what we call a sandbox, and a sandbox officer or a sandbox team. And the idea is to have your most wonderful ideas, the one that you believe in them, and create for you a space within the organization which is very far from the core, meaning it's not going to have a huge impact, and unfortunately, of course, won't create a danger or a hazard for everyday life. And check your ideas. And this usually is being connected with the idea of permissiveless innovation. And I don't know whether you're aware of it, but every page you're looking at Amazon, there are between 1,000 to 10,000 experiments that are being done on that. And even if you went out of school and your first job is to be working in Amazon, when you have your meeting, you know, your weekly meeting with your manager, you're not going to ask for permission to do any kind of experiment. You're going to simply to report on the one that was successful, because they embedded this idea of sandbox into their everyday life. And then what we know is that the more experiment you do, you're going to learn much more. So you design, you test, you learn, you improve and test, and again and again and again and again. So I want to talk about right now about what is it going to, what opportunity it's going to create for your company if you embrace this idea. So usually if you don't do and you have this idea and you say, well, let's create, you know, a go-to-market plan and so forth. Usually when you go, when you look, you know, this is statistic which is backed by very interesting studies. It says well, it's usually only 5% of chance. But if you do only 20 trials and you learn from it, then you have 64 chances of success. And if your CEO is talking right now on doubling your company within 2 or 3 years, well, I think you must think about this, okay? And this is just a part of a very interesting study. I took some notes from them, and well, I already sent you the presentation so you can look later and read about it. So it was a very interesting study which, you know, looked at grant applications, venture capital's investment, and unfortunately also terrorist attack, to find out is really failing is crucial for success. And this is why we create the sandbox, of course. Well, I think what the main takeout is that depends on how people fail, how they respond to failure, and how quick they retried. And I think this is when you create a sandbox, you can do it. You can do experiments, you know, day in and day out. And I think this is huge, I think, source for learning, and then of course for success. So I think you have two options. You can either disrupt yourself, or either you're going to be disrupted. And I think this is a challenge. And I don't think this is the easy way. And I don't think there is going to be an easy or comfortable way in the coming decade. But I can assure you that the companies that will embrace the concept of disrupting themselves are not going only to survive, but I think they're going to strive and be extremely successful in the coming decade. That's it.
Thank you, Yahli, for being with us and sharing with us your key insights about the top disrupting technologies, as well as the business models and the required, let's say, new toolkit for leaders.